Welcome to the Broken Bayonets channel, where imagination is the weapon and every detail is a deliberate lie. You are standing in a leafless forest, somewhere east of the Luxembourg border. The month is March, 1945. The air is cold enough to see your breath, a ghostly plume that vanishes into the gray twilight. It smells of damp earth, pine needles, and the faint, metallic tang of distant war. Trucks rumble past on a muddy track, their canvas tops stiff with frost. But yours are different. Yours carry not men, but the specters of men, not tanks, but the skins of tanks. The ground beneath your boots is soft, sucking at your heels with every step, a constant reminder of the grinding, slow advance toward the heart of Germany. The Rhine River is out there, a dark ribbon on a crumpled map, the last great barrier. Have you ever wondered if the past is really the past? Or if it's a story we are still living? A script written in blood and deception, whose echoes shape the silence of our own time. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you find the content useful. In the comments below, share which ghost legions of World War II history you know and which historical topics fascinate you the most. Now, let's go back in time and walk in the footsteps of legend. You pull your collar tighter against the wind. You are a soldier in the US Army, but you belong to a unit that doesn't officially exist. To the men in the regular infantry divisions, you're a curiosity, a headquarters unit with strange equipment and a stranger mission. You are one of the 1,100 men of the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, but you know yourselves by a different name, the Ghost Army. Your war is a performance, an elaborate piece of military theater played out on the deadliest stage in the world. Your objective is not to conquer territory with force, but to conjure armies from thin air, to mislead, to confuse, and to lure the enemy toward phantoms while real divisions strike elsewhere. This time, the stakes are higher than ever. It's called Operation Lumberjack, a massive push by General Omar Bradley's 12th Army Group to cross the Rhine. While the U.S. In a dimly lit barn, surrounded by the smell of hay and motor oil, you listen to the briefing. The map is spread out on an ammunition crate, illuminated by a single, flickering lantern. The officer's face is all sharp angles and shadows. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't need to. The gravity of the words fills the silence. "The Germans are watching this sector," he says, his finger tracing a line along the Kyll River. "They expect a crossing here. We're going to give them one to watch." He explains how the real divisions are being quietly pulled from the line, leaving a deliberate gap. It's your job to fill that gap not with men, but with noise, shadows, and lies. You are to create a massive, fictional buildup, convincing German intelligence that a major offensive is imminent right where you stand. The goal is to pin down German forces, to make them waste precious reserves reacting to your phantom army, keeping them blind and deaf to the real threat brewing to the north. It's a classic magician's trick, misdirection. Force the audience to look at your right hand while your left hand performs the real magic. The only difference is, in this show, the price of a failed trick is a massacre. You look around at the faces of the men beside you. They are an unusual collection for the US Army. There are artists who trained at the Pratt Institute in New York, architects who designed skyscrapers, sound engineers from the top radio stations in the country, and advertising men who once sold soap and automobiles on Madison Avenue. It's a running joke that you have a higher concentration of artistic talent than any gallery in Paris. This is the Ghost Army's secret weapon. Not firepower, but creativity. The unit's average IQ is 119, significantly higher than the Army average. You weren't recruited for your brawn or your marksmanship, but for your ability to imagine, to build, to improvise. Your primary weapon is a paintbrush, a speaker, or a radio key. You are here to create a fiction so compelling, so detailed, that an entire enemy army will believe it to be fact. Like the meticulous detail of a stage, the Ghost Army's illusions are elaborately built, layer by layer, and your part in this. The psychological weight of this assignment is a character in itself. You wear the uniform of an American GI, but you also wear the patches of the 30th or 79th Division. You drive jeeps and trucks stenciled with their unit markings. You are a living lie, an actor playing the part of another soldier. This creates a strange sense of detachment,
And for me,
a feeling of being both a participant and an observer in the war. Historians will later debate the precise, quantifiable impact of your operations, but for you, in this moment, the only thing that matters is the believability of your performance. There is a constant, low-grade fear that hums beneath the surface of every action. You are deliberately drawing the enemy's attention. You are painting a massive target on your own backs. You are inviting artillery shells and bomber runs. The ultimate success is to be shelled, to be attacked, because it means the enemy believes you are real. It's a terrifying paradox. You are ghosts, and your greatest success is measured by how much real steel the enemy throws at your spectral forms. As the briefing concludes, you file out of the barn and back into the cold night. The orders are given. The convoy begins to move. The trucks are loaded with your strange arsenal, rubber tanks, canvas artillery, powerful speakers, and delicate radio equipment. You are on your way to the front line, not to fight a battle, but to invent one. The convoy bumps to a halt in a predetermined patch of woods, miles from any real armored division. There is no triumphant arrival, only the quiet grind of gears and the muffled orders of your platoon sergeant. The moon is a sliver, offering little light, which is exactly how you want it. Your work begins under the cloak of darkness. You and 3 other men slide a massive olive-drab duffel bag from the back of a 2.5-ton truck. It's heavy, awkward, and smells faintly of rubber and mildew. With a coordinated heave, you unroll it on the frosty ground. It lies there like the shed skin of some monstrous creature. This is the raw material of your particular brand of magic. A deflated M4 Sherman tank. A corporal connects a hose from an air compressor, and with a chugging cough, the machine sputters to life. Slowly, impossibly, the beast begins to rise. First the turret, then the gun barrel, wobbling slightly as it gains rigidity. The hull inflates, the rubberized fabric creaking and stretching until, in less than 20 minutes, a 40-ton behemoth of American steel stands before you, 60 pounds of air and ingenuity. You pat its side, the surface gives slightly under your hand. From 100 yards away, it's a killer. Up close, it's a pool toy for giants. It's one of the unit's quiet jokes, that 4 men in the Ghost Army can lift and reposition a Sherman tank, a feat that would require a Herculean effort from a regular Army engineering crew. This is just one piece of the puzzle. All around you, the forest floor is being populated by a phantom armored column. Men work in hushed, efficient teams, inflating dozens of tanks, half-tracks, and 155mm long-tom artillery pieces. It's a surreal assembly line of illusions. You drag a camouflage net over your newly inflated Sherman, carefully arranging the branches and leaves to break up its perfect, factory-made silhouette. The art lies in the imperfection. A real tank column, dug in and waiting for an attack, would not be pristine. So you create fake tracks in the mud, using a specially designed roller pushed by a jeep. You scatter empty ammunition crates and fuel cans around the position. While your team handles the visual deception, another part of the unit prepares the soundtrack for this phantom opera. You see them maneuvering their own special vehicles into place. M3 half-tracks with their tops peeled back, not to reveal machine guns, but enormous speakers stacked like the components of a massive sound system. This is the work of the 3132nd Signal Company's Special, the sonic deception arm of your unit. Inside these mobile sound studios, engineers are hunched over turntables and complex wire recorders. Their library is not one of music, but of war. For months they have been at the front, recording the authentic sounds of army life. They have pristine recordings of the rumble of a specific tank engine, the clatter of an infantry company on the march, the distant crump of artillery, even the casual, profanity-laced conversations of soldiers digging foxholes. These sounds are their ammunition. A sound engineer, a man who a year ago was probably adjusting microphone levels for a radio drama in Chicago, carefully selects a recording. He's not just playing a sound, he's composing. He mixes the sound of a tank column moving into position with the shouts of a non-commissioned officer, layering it with the metallic clang of a tank mechanic's wrench. It's not so different from a modern DJ mixing tracks to create a mood, except the mood here is impending death, and the audience is a German artillery spotter. The effect is broadcast across the valley at deafening volume, capable of being heard up to 15 miles away. The sound waves bounce off the hills, creating a soundscape so authentic it can fool even a trained ear. The symphony of war begins. It starts subtly, the sound of a few trucks arriving, then builds. The low, guttural rumble of dozens of tank engines starting up echoes through the trees. You hear the squeal of their treads as they supposedly maneuver into firing positions. Shouted commands, incomprehensible but audibly urgent, are mixed in. The German listeners on the other side of the Kyll River are being fed a carefully curated audio story. They are hearing the unmistakable sounds of 2 full divisions, more than 30,000 men, preparing for a massive assault. It is a masterpiece of auditory illusion. Historians and military analysts still debate just how much the enemy saw versus how much they heard. Was a German reconnaissance pilot fooled by the sight of 60 inflatable tanks, or was it the overwhelming audio evidence of their presence that sealed the deal? The truth is, the two deceptions were designed to be inseparable. The visual evidence gave context to the sounds, and the sounds gave life to the silent, rubber dummies. It was a multi-sensory attack on the enemy's intelligence-gathering capabilities. A lone dummy tank might be discovered. A lone sound might be dismissed as an echo, but the combination created a powerful and believable narrative. As you finish your work for the night and take up a guard position, you look out over the valley. You see nothing but the dark shapes of your inflatable army. But you hear them. You hear the clank and roar and shouting of 30,000 men who are not there. Your stage is set, the orchestra is playing its overture, and now you wait for the audience to react. The soundscape of a phantom army is now an oppressive, constant presence in the valley, but your work has moved from the physical to the ethereal. The third and perhaps most intricate layer of the deception is now underway, and it happens in the silent, invisible world of radio waves. You find yourself hunched inside the cramped confines of a signals truck, the air thick with the smell of hot vacuum tubes and stale coffee. This is the nerve center of the radio spoof, a rolling box of carefully controlled lies. Outside, the inflatable tanks sit silently under their camouflage nets. Inside, you are broadcasting the frantic, mundane, and secret life of a division on the move.
Did you get that? Yes.
Your weapon here is not a rifle, but a telegraph key. Your target is not a soldier, but an enemy radio intercept operator miles away, listening intently to the crackle and hiss of the ether. This isn't just about sending random messages. You and your fellow operators are engaged in a form of electronic mimicry. Before the operation began, you spent weeks listening to the real radio traffic of the 30th and 79th Divisions. You learned their call signs, their message procedures, their daily schedules. You learned which units communicated at what time of day. Most importantly, you learned the unique signature of their radio operators. In the world of Morse code, every operator has a distinctive rhythm, a fist as unique as handwriting. Some are fast and precise, others are sloppy and slow. Your job is to impersonate a specific operator from the real 79th Division, to replicate his fist so perfectly that the German analysts who have been tracking him for months will believe he is still right here, chattering away. It's a painstaking process. You practice for hours, tapping out messages, trying to capture the exact cadence and spacing of another man's hand. The messages you send are a carefully scripted fiction. You broadcast phony orders for troop movements, fake requests for ammunition and fuel, and coded reports about patrols that never happened. The traffic is designed to sound authentic, full of the jargon and boredom of real military communication. Requesting 2 tons of sea rations at grid coordinate X, you might tap out, knowing full well the only thing at coordinate X is a muddy feed. But the deception doesn't end with technology. The most dangerous and delicate work is performed by the human ghosts. This is your other role. You are part of what the unit calls special effects. Dressed in the uniforms of the 79th Infantry, complete with their distinctive Cross of Lorraine patch, you and a handful of other soldiers climb into a jeep and drive into the nearest French town. The mission is simple: be seen, be heard, and be convincing. You park the jeep, conspicuously stenciled with the markings of a company from the 79th, in the town square. Then, you walk into a local estaminet, a small cafe where locals and off-duty soldiers mingle. The air is warm and smells of cheap wine and cigarette smoke. You know that in any town this close to the front, there are bound to be German sympathizers, informants who will pass along any interesting tidbit of information. You are counting on it. You are the interesting tidbit. You order a drink from the proprietor, your French, just good enough to get by. You sit at a small table and begin your performance. You and your comrades talk, your voices just loud enough to be overheard by the old man reading a newspaper in the corner or the woman clearing tables. You complain about the mud. You gripe about the new company commander, using the real name of an officer from the 79th. You drop carefully crafted hints about the big show that's about to kick off. Heard the whole division is moving up tonight, one of you says. It's about time we pushed across that river.
How long until the next
You don't look around to see who is listening. That would give the game away. You just talk, acting the part of bored, weary GIs, unknowingly giving away priceless intelligence to anyone who cares to listen. It's a nerve-wracking piece of theater. One mistake, one mention of the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, one out-of-place reference, and the entire illusion could shatter. In this quiet cafe, you are more exposed than you would be in a foxhole. Your only defense is the quality of your acting. It's a strange thought that these men, recruited from the art schools and advertising agencies of New York, are now putting their lives on the line by pretending to be someone else in a provincial French bar, their success measured by... Like the meticulous detail of a stage, the Ghost Army's illusions are elaborately built, layer by layer. The inflatable tanks are the set, the sonic broadcasts are the sound effects. The spoof radio provides the background chatter, and you, in this cafe, are the lead actors, delivering the crucial lines that make the whole production believable. Each layer reinforces the others. A German agent overhears you in the cafe, and that evening, the radio intercept stations pick up transmissions from the 79th Division's headquarters just a few miles away. The next morning, a reconnaissance flight spots what looks like their tank column hidden in a nearby forest. Piece by piece, you are building a case, presenting overwhelming evidence of a reality that does not exist. The mystery that will linger for decades is just how completely the Germans were fooled. Did they swallow the story whole, or did your performance simply introduce enough doubt to paralyze their decision-making? For you, sitting in this smoky cafe, the philosophical questions are irrelevant. You take a sip of your wine, catch the eye of the old man in the corner, and continue your conversation. Another whisper from a ghost in the machine of war. The waiting ends with a whispered command passed down the line. It's time. The curtain is rising on your phantom front. For 2 days, you have held this static position, building the illusion of a massive force gathering its strength. Now you must create the illusion of that force lunging into an attack. Under the cover of a moonless, overcast night, a controlled chaos begins. The first act is movement. You and your team deflate your Sherman tank, hastily roll it into its bag, and load it onto a truck. You drive a mile forward, closer to the Kyll River, to a new, pre-selected position. In the darkness, you repeat the process. The hiss of the air compressor, a loud intrusion in the tense silence as the rubber beast once again takes shape. All around you, other teams are doing the same, leapfrogging the entire phantom armored column forward. It's a slow, grueling process, a parody of a real armored advance. You are moving an army of ghosts, one breath at a time. As the dummy vehicles are set in their new, more aggressive positions, the sonic deception trucks begin the main performance. The symphony of war you had created before was merely an overture. This is the crescendo. The giant speakers, aimed like artillery toward the German lines, fall silent for a moment. The sudden absence of noise is more unnerving than the constant rumble. Then it begins. A series of deafening cracks splits the air as the engineers play the recordings of a massive artillery barrage. The sound of hundreds of 150mm guns firing in sequence echoes through the valley. You have to clamp your hands over your ears, the sheer volume of physical force that vibrates through your bones. To add a visual component, another team sets off pyrotechnics, flashes of light and puffs of smoke that mimic the muzzle blasts of the guns. From the German perspective a mile away, it must look and sound like the world is ending. It is the textbook opening to a major American offensive. After the Phantom Barrage, the second movement begins, the sound of the armored assault. The speakers now broadcast the sound of dozens of Sherman tanks clanking and roaring forward, their engines straining, their treads chewing up the earth. This is layered with the recordings of infantrymen shouting, the rattle of machine gun fire, and the occasional sharp crack of a tank's main gun. You are huddled in a shallow foxhole you dug hours before, listening to the cacophony of your own creation. It is the most surreal experience of your life. You are a soldier in the middle of a ferocious battle in which you are the only real target. You know there are no tanks, no charging infantry. The forest in front of you is empty. Yet every instinct screams that you are in mortal danger. The sound is so visceral, so all-encompassing, that your mind struggles to separate the illusion from a reality it has been trained for months to recognize and fear. And then, the enemy reacts. It starts with a high-pitched whistle, a sound that cuts through the recorded din. You don't even have time to process it before a geyser of mud and fire erupts 200 yards to your left. The ground shakes violently. It's the sound of a real German 88mm shell. The audience is not just listening, they're participating. A strange, terrifying elation shoots through you. They believe. The deception is working. More shells follow, screaming in from across the river. They are firing at your noises. They are bracketing the positions of your inflatable tanks, trying to silence the phantom artillery, trying to halt the ghost-like advance. One shell lands unnervingly close, showering your foxhole with dirt and shrapnel. A quiet, ironic smile might touch your lips. You're being shelled because your friends are playing a record too loudly. The danger is real, but its cause is utterly absurd. This is the paradox of the Ghost Army. Success is measured in how much lethal force the enemy wastes on your fictions. Like the meticulous detail of a stage, the Ghost Army's illusions are elaborately built layer by layer. And now, the final deadly layer has been added by the enemy themselves. Your carefully constructed lie has been validated by German steel. For hours, you endure the barrage. The sonic unit doesn't stop. They become the target, and they hold their ground, continuing to broadcast the sounds of an attack that isn't happening. It's a battle of wills, fought with speakers and explosives. Intelligence reports will later confirm the effect of your performance. German radio traffic intercepted that night is filled with panicked reports of a major American assault in your sector. The German High Command, convinced that the US 79th Division is attempting a river crossing, diverts crucial resources to meet your phantom threat. An entire Volksgrenadier Division and elements of 2 Panzer divisions are held in place or redirected south, their eyes fixed firmly on your stage. They are staring intently at your right hand, just as the magician intended. Meanwhile, miles to the north, in the relative quiet created by your thunderous lie, the US First Army is moving. They are advancing toward their real objectives, toward the Rhine, their movements masked by the epic, imaginary battle you have so painstakingly brought to life. You are a ghost, and your haunting has a purpose. You have drawn the enemy's fire, and in doing so, you have cleared the way for the real army to walk through the valley of the shadow of death unnoticed. The German artillery eventually slackens, then falls silent. The echoes of your phantom battle die away, leaving and ringing in your ears, and the acrid smell of cordite hanging in the damp air. For the moment, your primary mission is a staggering success. You have been shelled, therefore you are real. German divisions are frozen in place, staring into the darkness at an army of ghosts, while the real US First Army moves unmolested. A sense of grim satisfaction settles over your small unit. You have played your part, and the enemy has read your script perfectly. You allow yourself a moment to relax, to sip lukewarm coffee from a canteen cup, the adrenaline slowly draining away, leaving a familiar, bone-deep weariness in its place. The night, however, is far from over. War is the ultimate improvisational theater, and the most dramatic plot twists are never written in the plan. Headlights cut through the darkness, a single jeep driving far too fast, sloshing through the mud without regard for noise discipline. It skids to a halt near your company command post, and an officer, his face pale in the faint light from a shielded flashlight, jumps out. A runner is dispatched, and in minutes, your platoon sergeant is gathering the NCOs. The news that filters down to you is so improbable, so monumentally unexpected, that at first you think it must be a rumor, or perhaps a part of an even larger deception you're not privy to. But the urgency in the sergeant's voice is real. Miles to the north, near a small town called Remagen, the US 9th Armored Division has done the impossible. They reached the Ludendorff Bridge, one of the last remaining railway bridges across the Rhine, and found it still standing. The German demolition charges had failed to detonate properly, and in a stunning feat of battlefield audacity, the Americans had stormed it, capturing the first bridgehead across the Great River barrier. The strategic map of the Western Front has just been redrawn in a single, frantic afternoon. General Omar Bradley, commander of the 12th Army Group, would later call it a gift from the gods. It's a war-winning breakthrough, a one-in-a-million shot that has just paid off. For you, however, the news is a bombshell of a different kind. Your entire, exquisitely crafted performance is suddenly at risk of becoming a strategic liability. The script has been torn up. Your mission was to draw German attention south, to convince them of a massive build-up here to mask a crossing elsewhere. Now the crossing has already happened, far to the north and ahead of schedule. Your grand deception, designed to be the main event in the enemy's mind, has been upstaged by a spectacular, unbelievable truth. A quiet debate, one that will echo among military historians for decades, is happening in real time among your commanders. What do you do now? If you cease the deception, the Germans might realize the southern threat was a bluff and rush all those pinned divisions north to counterattack the fragile Remagen bridgehead. If you continue the deception too aggressively, you might convince the Germans that your phantom attack is still the main effort, which could be good, but it could also create unforeseen complications. The greatest danger is the near miss, the moment when truth and illusion collide. If a savvy German intelligence officer puts it all together, the sudden unexpected bridge capture at Remagen and the convenient, noisy assault by the 79th Division to the south, the whole thing could be exposed as a massive feint. Your cover would be blown, not just for this operation, but potentially for all future ones. The Ghost Army's greatest weapon is its secrecy, and it is now perilously close to the spotlight.
A few feet to the left.
The orders that finally come down are a testament to the unit's agility. The mission has changed. You are no longer simulating an attack. You are now tasked with a phased withdrawal. You must create the illusion that the 79th Division has fought a fierce battle, failed to cross the river, and is now pulling back to regroup. It requires a completely different kind of performance. The sonic unit changes its playlist. The sounds of advance are replaced by the sounds of retreat. The rumble of trucks pulling away from the front, the occasional sporadic artillery fire to cover the withdrawal, the lower energy chatter of a unit that has been bloodied and is now licking its wounds. Like the meticulous detail of a stage, the Ghost Army's illusions are elaborately built layer by layer, and you must now deconstruct your stage piece by piece, in full view of the audience, without letting them know it was ever just a stage. You and your team get back to work, but the energy has shifted from aggressive creativity to cautious, deliberate disassembly. You deflate some of the tanks, but not all of them. You move convoys of empty trucks with their headlights on, driving in circles to create the impression of a large-scale vehicle movement away from the river.
But I assure you,
the radio spoofers
will be all right.
change their tone, broadcasting messages about casualty reports and requests for medical supplies. The actors in the local towns will have to change their stories, talking about a tough fight and a pullback. It's a delicate, dangerous dance. You are trying to convince the enemy that you are still here, still a threat, but a diminished one. You are buying time, keeping those German divisions occupied for just another 24, maybe 48 hours, giving the real American forces at Remagen a desperate window to pour men and machines across the captured bridge and solidify their hold on the Rhine's eastern bank. The success of one of the most important moments of the war now depends on how convincingly you can fake a failure. The final act of your performance is the quietest and perhaps the most surreal. For a full day and another night, you maintain the fiction of a chastened but still present division. The sonic trucks play the mundane sounds of a unit regrouping. The occasional jeep, the clank of a maintenance crew working on a tank that isn't there, the low murmur of distant voices. It's a performance of anticlimax. You've drawn the enemy into a frenzy, and now you must lull them into a state of watchful boredom. All the while, the real drama is unfolding at Remagen, as thousands of American soldiers and their heavy equipment pour across the Ludendorff Bridge, cementing a foothold that will hasten the end of the war in Europe. Your job is to hold the enemy's gaze just a little longer, to be the boring, predictable threat that keeps them from looking over their shoulder at the real dagger in their back. Then, the order comes. It arrives not with a bang, but with a coded radio message, a whisper in the ether that you've been waiting for. The deception is over. Operation Lumberjack's objective has been achieved in a way no one could have predicted. It's time for the ghosts to vanish. The process is the reverse of your arrival, but swifter, more practiced. Like the meticulous detail of a stage, the Ghost Army's illusions are elaborately built, layer by layer, and now the stage is being struck with silent efficiency. You and your team approach your inflatable Sherman one last time. There's no ceremony. You pull the plugs, and with a long final sigh, the 40-ton behemoth collapses in on itself, becoming a heap of lifeless rubber on the forest floor. You fold it, bag it, and haul it away. All across the sector, the Phantom Army is deflating, disappearing. The speakers fall silent. The radio operators send their last spoof message and power down their transmitters. The jeeps with the wrong insignia are driven back to a motor pool to be repainted. In the space of a few hours, 2 entire American divisions, 30,000 men, with all their armor and artillery, vanish without a trace. You climb into the back of a real truck, the canvas flap pulled down, concealing you from view. As the convoy pulls away, you pass the positions you occupied just hours before. They are empty now. The only signs you were ever here are the temporary tracks in the mud, which the spring rains will soon erase. You leave behind a quiet, empty forest and a profoundly confused enemy. Later intelligence reports will confirm that German commanders remained fixated on your sector for a crucial 36 hours after the Remagen Bridge was taken. Their reports still speaking of the large American force they believed was facing them. That confusion was the victory. You didn't fire a shot in anger, but you held a battle line. You saved lives, American lives that would have been spent seizing a Rhine bridgehead by creating a fiction so powerful it became a temporary reality. When the war in Europe ends a few months later, the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops is disbanded as quietly as it was formed. You are reassigned or sent home. You are sworn to absolute secrecy. Your mission, your tools, your very existence as a unit are now classified top secret. You return to a world that wants to celebrate a victory it can see and understand. A world of marching armies, liberated cities, and famous generals. How do you explain your war? You can't talk about the inflatable tanks, the sonic deceptions, or the nights spent impersonating another man's fist on a telegraph key. You tell people you were in a special headquarters unit, and they nod, imagining you pushing papers behind the lines. A safe job. The irony is a private, bitter pill. You were a frontline unit that invited artillery fire onto itself. Yet your story cannot be told.
What was your
You are a
safe
ghost,
job
even
during
in
the
peacetime.
war?
Your accomplishments erased from the official histories. Decades pass. The world changes. The Cold War rises and falls. Your deception tactics are deemed too valuable too potent to be made public.
Troops are
So
deployed
the
to
secrecy
Vietnam.
holds. The men of the Ghost Army, the artists, the sound engineers,
Berlin
the
Wall
actors,
falls.
melt back into civilian life. Bill Blass goes on to become a world-famous fashion designer. Ellsworth Kelly becomes a celebrated minimalist painter. Art Kane, a legendary photographer. They shape the culture of the post-war world. Their hands and minds, once used to fool the German army, now creating beauty and commerce. But their greatest, strangest, and most dangerous creation remains a state secret. It's not until 1996, more than 50 years after you folded up your last rubber tank, that the files are declassified. The story finally tumbles out, a historical footnote so bizarre it sounds like fiction. People learn of the phantom armies, the sonic warfare, the creative force of a secret unit of artists and engineers. The recognition comes late. After many of the veterans have passed away, their stories untold. But it does come. In 2022, the United States Congress awards the unit its highest honor, the Congressional Gold Medal, for its unique and heroic contribution to the Allied victory. The Ghosts are finally given their due. Your war was a masterpiece of illusion, a grand performance on a stage of mud and steel. History, you realize, is not just a record of what happened, but also of what was thought to have happened. And you were a master of what was thought. You were a ghost, and your work is done. The story of your strange war thus fades from the battlefield, becoming a classified file in a locked cabinet, a secret held for a lifetime. The sound of the phantom guns and the rumble of the inflatable tanks give way to the silence of the years, the memory of deception, a quiet personal burden carried by the few who were there. The great armies of history are remembered for their thunder, for the ground they took, and the flags they raised. But there is another kind of history, a quieter one, written in the spaces between the official reports, in the echoes of a lie well told. The Rhine continues its journey to the sea, its waters indifferent to the great dramas played out upon its banks, carrying the secrets of real and imagined armies alike toward the vast ocean of time. The forest you once populated with ghosts has long since healed its scars, the earth soft and quiet once more, holding no trace of the grand illusion you so carefully built and so silently dismantled. The performance is over. The actors have taken their final bow, and the curtain of history has fallen, leaving only a profound and lasting silence.